I am the studio director of Supergiant Games, and we are here with our 7th major update for Hades. It's called the Superstar Update, and we're going to give you a dev stream of us trying out some of the newest features from the game, talking about some of the decision making that went into it, talking about some of the behind the scenes stuff, maybe even going over some of the ways in which the various things we're talking about evolved over the course of making the update. It should be a good time for all of us. For those of you who got here and don't know what is going on, Hades is our roguelike dungeon crawler in early access right now on the Epic Game Store. The 7th update for it drops today. This update focuses a lot on late game replayability and trying to make sure that resources have meaning over time and that the game is fun for players who are going really, really, really deep with Hades and playing for really long periods of time. Part of what you're going to see here today is spoilers for the update. So if you like to play the updates fresh, if you don't want any of the content spoiled for you and you want to experience it yourself, then this is probably not the stream for you, because you will see stuff that you can only unlock really, really deep in the game. You will meet some characters you can only meet really, really deep in the game and that kind of thing. So let's get started. I'm switching over now to the game. So let's begin with some Hades. All right, so here we are in the courtyard to the House of Hades, and it's the start of us seeing some of the big changes to the game. So already you'll see the shield looks really different. That's because I've unlocked this unique aspect for it, which is Chaos's aspect for the shield. Weapon aspects are something we're extremely excited about. Each weapon in the game now has sort of 2 unlockable aspects and a 3rd basic aspect that you can upgrade. And you upgrade these with new late game resources. In the case of the Chaos aspect, not only does it look really cool, it actually has a totally different functionality, which is when I bull rush, after I throw, it'll throw out these additional Chaos shields, so I can create cool special builds that kind of play off the core bull rush ability you have in the game. And each of the weapons has lots of aspects. We're not going to look at all of them now. We're just going to look at maybe one more, and then I'm going to switch over to the spear. We also have this. Do I have the keys for this? No, I don't. Do I? I do have the keys. I have 1 key, so we're not going to do that. So actually, you're going to have to experience a lot of the aspects yourself. I'm switching over to the spear. So there's a new resource in the game called chthonic keys. And basically, these chthonic keys are gotten through very special ways in the game, and I'm going to go more into that later. But right now, I'm going to use the chthonic key to unlock the Achilles aspect of the spear. So you'll notice the spear looks different because it is. It functions pretty differently, which is when I throw it, I can actually teleport. Whoops, wrong aspect. Switching back to Achilles aspect. When I throw it, I can actually teleport. So this is the Achilles aspect for the spear. And after I teleport to it, my next 2 attacks are powered up. So there's a lot of cool ways you can get more damage out of these builds now, which is going to be really important because we have completely revamped the Pact of Punishment. Now when you beat the game, the Pact of Punishment appears here over the door that starts your new run. So let's take a look. All right. Pact of Punishment revamp. Something that we've been really, really excited about and is part of the way the late game works here in Hades. The instructions are here. On the left side for the terms, there's basically just 2 things you got to think about. The terms, which is you've got to pick the conditions over on the right side. You got to fill up the heat gauge. And then once the heat gauge is full, if you beat the game, if you win a run that way and successfully get free, you earn awesome bounties along the way, and then you can turn up the heat even more. We've revamped the Pact completely. There are a lot of new Pact options, and we've also scrunched down the heat so that basically 1 point of heat is equivalent to about 5 points before. There's a lot of stuff here. I'm not going to go over it. Instead, I'm just going to put 2 points into extreme measures, which is a sort of a Pact option for us that increases the first boss fight in Tartarus I might actually grab something else. Maybe snake oil? Maybe snake oil. Maybe not. We'll see. So let's begin our escape. All right. Dionysus.
It's me, Zach. Hey, I know you haven't got a lot of time to listen to me prattle on like this, and so I'm cutting to the chase here. Look.
Awesome. So I'm going to probably take his aid in this case, so we have something for late game bosses. Another thing we've done is like revamped all the weapons. So the spear here has a new dash attack, and we've revamped the dash attack for the shield and the spear, and we've also revamped them for, or I think that's what we revamped them for. So now I can use the spear as a teleportation device, get behind enemies, backstab them, finish them off with a sweep. Looks like we finally got our chat going in the stream too, so I'm going to hop over and check that out in the middle of this run. So the goal of this update basically for us was to try and make endgame replayability be more interesting for players in Hades, and also to make it so that that the resources had meaning really late into the game, because we were obviously running into issues with players that accumulated tons of resources and they were hoping that they had more stuff to spend it on, and we've given you a ton. One of the most requested features in our Hades feedback channel on our Discord has been that people really want to see more kind of cosmetic items, and we have delivered. And part of the way in which we have delivered that is we've introduced a new resources called gems, which are available here on this very chamber. So I'm going to go in and try and get some. What I love about this new Achilles aspect for the spear is it's highly mobile, and it's cool because the spear has this long charge up attacks and these like big long hits, and the Achilles aspect helps you get around like a lot, which I super appreciate on a weapon like the spear. When we were designing the aspects, a lot of what we were trying to do is make sure that there was more kind of attack combo potential in the game. So instead of just writing a few, maybe one or two attacks, you would be encouraged and incentivized to mix them up. So in the aspect design that we have going there, you'll notice that we actually have a lot of different ways that incentivize you to build your attacks differently, to build your cast differently. And part of the reason you're going to need these aspects is the Pact of Punishment is quite expanded and has a lot more different sort of ways in which the game can get deviously challenging. So we thought, well, you might need something to help you out there. I just ate 3 shots there while I was trying to explain that. I'm going to keep moving.
Brimstones.
The really cool thing about, speaking of builds, with this Achilles aspect is that you basically you do your spear's return damage along the teleportation. So if you get the types of hammer upgrades that basically modify your spear's return, you're gonna make your path like even more devastating.
Something for the mirror.
Should we see what Master Chaos wants, or should we go over here? Let's check in with Chaos. So speaking of new types of resources, we just found one, which is gemstones. And there's more, though, of course. We also have diamonds, and we have chthonic keys. And we'll talk about what you use diamonds for and chthonic keys for when I either die or prevail in this run. So I think I'm going to go for the better attack damage, because I think it synergizes with the aspect I'm using better. All right. Use this to teleport. So speaking of changes we made to the game, some of the aside from all the new aspects, whoops, I take 34% more damage, so I need to be more careful. Aside from the additional aspects we added to the game, we've also added new hammer upgrades. There are no new ones for the spear, which I'm using right now, but there are new ones for some of the other ones. So, for example, with the shield, we have one that turns your bull rush into a projectile, so you can actually like get some more range utility out of it. We also have one that I gotta be more careful. We also have one for the we have two new ones actually for the rail. One which I'm super excited about for you rail players out there, which turns your secondary into an actual rocket launcher. And then we we also did one that makes it so enemies in the blast in the impending blast of your secondary get slowed down, which is a really cool way to kind of control the battlefield a bit. And add some more utility to the high-powered damage that you get out of the rail's secondary area damage. There's new Pact options. If you're someone who has been able to make short work of the mini-bosses in Hades, there are new Pact options that make these like a lot harder, which I'm pretty excited about. All right. We want Doom on our special, I think. Here we go. So that's the new look for the normal key. I could use some normal keys, but I actually think I might want to go to a shop. Whoop. All right, doing a lot of throw stuff. So multi-skewer actually is really crazy with this because you can go to really cool and interesting places, but I'm actually going to go with the armor destruction because I think it's going to synergize with my build a little bit more clearly. So because these guys have armor, I'm going to go ahead and use my throw. Whoops. Just assume every time I take damage it's because I'm leaning over to look at the chat. So other cool things to talk about with this update are some of the huge art additions we've made to the game. So our environment art team was a team of Joanne and Josh helping with effects, has been out like making huge changes basically to the second biome of Hades, which, whoop, oh, that's pretty lucky. Thanatos encounter in Tartarus. Let's see if I can do this. Oop. Oh no. Lost the Death Defiance early. Get some Dionysus Call going so I can beat Thanatos. Up by 3. One of the changes we made, inspired by community feedback here, is Thanatos only now should summon fewer kind of elites in his encounters. So if you know what kind of elites he's summoning, you can kind of be smart and focus on some of the other enemies. Did I win? I won by 2. Nice. Yeah, for those of you who noticed the update size, there is a lot of new content in this patch, in this update, so it's pretty big. So now you're seeing me quietly try and play. We made huge art updates also to the House of Hades, and we've also made updates to various bosses in the game. So you'll see new models for Electo and Tisiphone. You'll see new sort of new higher level animation polish on Theseus and the Minotaur and some of the other characters in the game.
I'll pay for that.
Low money. Let's go see. So if you recall, at the beginning of this run, we added basically a whole bunch more to the Pact, and the Pact thing that I put on is all 3 Furies. So here we go. See how this goes. So it still has a variety of fighting the different Furies as the main Furies, but then the other ones come down and provide support for her. So basically, instead of, part of the reason we did it this way is so every fight wouldn't feel exactly the same once you turn this on. There's still a main one that you have to take down, but then there's also other ones in there who are providing a lot of support. In this case, I rolled the Tisiphone fight, which is one of those small chamber ones, which means this is going to be pretty brutal. And the other 2 Furies are helping her out. Whoa. So now her moves take on new meaning. Like her whip, which previously just stunned you, used to just set it up for her attack, but now it sets it up for the other Furies, which is pretty devastating and deadly. And if you're someone who's got a lot of experience with Hades before, maybe you'll still be able to keep things challenging for yourself. I'm going to actually use my call here. One of the things we saw with the previous Pact options is there were good ways to make the game kind of globally more challenging, but we wanted ways to challenge specific skills, and in this case we made one of the fights that's really early on a lot harder. And the reason it's sort of meaningful is because part of the reason that this is kind of a different challenge than the way the Pact had been set up previously, and you can still make a lot of the previous Pact setups, is you have to consider how to make an early build where you might not have a ton of god boons work for this fight. Whoops, I just tabbed out. And I messed up the stream when I did that. So, 1 sec. It's live from San Francisco in our studio. For those of you who are just following along, I'm Amir Rao. I'm a developer who is working here on Hades. This is our 7th update, the Superstar update. And I'm getting wrecked by Tisiphone with our updated Pact. I should have taken something with a little bit more range. Actually, though, it would be pretty fitting if I died from turning on the Pact here. I'd be okay with that. I'm going to use the Dionysus Call. Gonna help me out here. Woohoo! I love that one. Ed made a lot of these devious new Pact things, and they're pretty interesting, especially when you get into a tight room like this. And it's cool to think of Meg supporting her sisters, and there's a whole narrative introduction to the system and stuff that helps make it make sense. Woo! All right, last phase. See if I can get through this. Then I'll go back to talking. Oh, no!
Can I keep this up?
Wow. All right, so game's a lot harder with that Pact. And I couldn't get to the updated Asphodel to show you some of that stuff. Though I might be able to load something later and give you a sense of it. But this is good because it gives me an opportunity actually to talk about some of the new additions we've made to the resources. So what we have here is a brand new revamped House of Hades. All the new Wretched Shades that line up have been revamped too, and the ones you see in every biome are now different. We've made some changes to the house as well. We have Thanatos here.
Hey, Fan, come join me in the lounge for old time's sake. Coast is clear. The work can wait.
You're really asking me to join you for a drink? I mean, you know what? Sure. The work can wait. All this time they said we were brothers. Well, half brothers anyway. But it just never felt that way, you know? What am I saying? You have no idea.
No, I know exactly what you're saying, Than. I'm sorry that I'm putting you through all of this. It's something that I have to do. But I'm glad we know the truth about me now. Maybe we can move on from there.
As I said, a spoiler-filled stream.
I've always lacked your optimism, Zach. Anyway, the work has waited long enough. I need to get back to it. Thanks for the drink.
So we saw
Watch yourself out there, Zagreus. I have to go.
we saw briefly in the background the new lounge, and we're gonna there's Dad again, and we're gonna go look at it up close. So here we have, speaking of Thanatos, we have him here on the wall. We have a new Wretched Broker, and his trades have been updated. So the Wretched Broker now trades a lot for gems, and so you can get some of the best trades and the highest value from bringing gems to the broker. But the brand new system that we've introduced is the House Contractor.
Let's make some adjustments.
So this allows you to buy cosmetics for the House of Hades, and here we're going to try and change the drapery.
Here's the fee. How about a moody blue color of some sort for the drapery there?
It was perfectly acceptable before.
All right, so we just updated the drapes in the House of Hades. For those of you who've been waiting for brand new cosmetic items and more cosmetic items, those are there for you. There's also a lot of other options and ways to update stuff as well. Let's go ahead and move into my room. The room cosmetics that you'd previously get from the Well of Charon are now basically also unlocked through the House Contractor system. We did not get to Asphodel, so we didn't get to see some of the coolest changes that we have in the game. But maybe we can try that again with a different Pact option. I think this time I'm going to try a different aspect.
Change your plan there, huh?
I'm going to turn up the game volume just a bit too. So just have to go out for just a second here. Whoop. Yeah, sorry if the game volume's a little low.
Far greater gods than I once wielded you.
Let's actually switch back to the shield.
Let's go with this one.
We'll use the chaos shields that we had from before. Like it. Cool. And then we'll get a different keepsake going. Let's go ahead and try broken spear point for now.
Might help.
So we can get to... We're going to try a different Pact option now. So before we tried the extreme measures, which makes the harpies a lot harder, maybe too hard for me while talking and playing. But we can try some different ones. So I'm actually going to try the one that makes the mini bosses more numerous, which is cool because it's another way to make the early game a little bit more challenging for you. I'll just add one for now and then go ahead and begin my escape.
What's life without a little pain?
Nobody gets out of here, boy. Whether alive or dead. You think I jest? You think I haven't tried?
You failed. I won't.
You know I would do anything to have you here among us, don't you, love? Oh, I just hope my blessings are enough.
We'll go with Shatter Shot. It's got a very slight nerf, but it's still good. And the nerf was only at higher difficulties. Higher rarities. It's me taking advantage of the bull rush throw. So another cool thing about the aspects is they make you think a little bit about how you might build the character a little bit differently when you're looking for god boons. So in this case, before when I wanted a bull rush, like a really strong bull rush or a really strong throw build, I might just seek out the gods that I thought synergized best with those and the hammer upgrades that I thought synergized best with those. But now you have an incentive to kind of do both on the very same run, which is cool because you can start to think, well, maybe there's a way I can get a little bit more power out of this by turning on just one or the other. by, building one and the other, which is a really sort of different way of thinking about your runs. So for those of you talking about the weapons in Hades, basically the weapon aspect system that we introduced in this update is a ton of variety and variations for the 5 existing weapons that you can unlock in Hades. And part of the thing we realized when we added them, because they all add sort of brand new ways to play and new models for the weapon and all that kind of stuff, is that the definition of what a weapon has expanded a lot. It's all the god boons. There's all the hammers, there's all the weapon aspects, and as part of that, it meant that we are planning on delivering that 6th weapon for you next year. You can see what, how our plans have evolved in the roadmap, which is included in every single update in Hades. And because the game is in early access, obviously we take into account our, your feedback and what people say about the game, and all that type of stuff. Whoops, clicked through that a little fast, but Zeus's aid is what I want. Oh, actually, this is an example of me. So I went through that a little fast. I probably could have used Zeus's Flourish to increase my special in that case, because it might have synergized pretty well with the extra Chaos Shields. I didn't do that, though, because I'm used to building my character like it's Update 6, but it's Update 7. Even I have to get my head in the game. That saved all that for a single punching bag.
Gemstones.
Let's go ahead and jump in here. So this is with the new Pact. I've went ahead and made this a lot harder on myself. I really like middle management, which is the one that makes kind of the champions of Tartarus, which are these kind of like mid-biome fights, a little bit more sort of spicy. Part of it is that I like a lot of the ones that challenge you in the early game, because I often play the long game when I play Hades and put together a build, or try to put together a build that I think is gonna carry me real late, and this means that you got to be thinking a little bit about staying on your toes early. We also made a change where basically you used to be able to roll multiple of these sort of champion mini boss-esque encounters in a single run, but now you can't do that. This is actually interesting because it's something that you might think makes the game easier, but it actually just makes it sort of both ways. It means you can't necessarily roll 2 mini bosses, but you also can't get the 2 sort of awesome elite boons they offer. Now you might be thinking, Amir, you just lost a Death Defiance very early in your run. That means it's not going to go deep. But little do you know, I'm just trying to get to Asphodel. So if I beat Meg or Electo or Tisiphone, that'll be enough for me.
The sea is yours to do with as you please, nephew. I've mustered forth a sample anyway.
The conclusion of the story has always been slated for when we come out of early access, and we are planning on coming out of early access into 1.0 and being on more platforms in the second half of next year.
If I could spare a minute of your time.
So now my shields have more juice, and they knock people back when I throw it, which will hopefully be fun. lot of people say they want extra, sort of extra goals potentially in the survival encounters, and we're always looking at ways to make our encounters more interesting. But
That's better.
right now, if you want an extra goal, if you kill the enemies, you get opals, which is always good for you. Grab myself some darkness on the way out. Yeah, if you noticed, Zeus Call was some of the power was taken off of the Zeus Call. That one got a little bit. That one got some love at all levels, so it wasn't just the epic and rare versions that had their power reduced. Some of the other sort of balance changes that we looked at too were on the keepsakes. So this is actually an area that's kind of fun to talk about on a dev stream. We get a lot of feedback around what feels kind of overpowered and underpowered in the game, and some of the earliest keepsakes haven't changed that much in many updates. So examples of those are Nyx's shawl, or the Cerberus spike collar, or even the lucky tooth that you can get from Skelly. And so when we looked at that, we decided to make a few changes, and it wasn't just because of the feedback we were getting. It was a combination of the feedback we were getting and also some of the data we were seeing. So our game has an optional ability to that you can turn off to sort of transmit data, and allows us to sometimes put together information on what has high use rates and what has lower use rates. And sure enough, some of the keepsakes that people thought could have used a little bit of love weren't getting used as much either, which is cool, because that's part of the joy of being in early access is you get the data, but you also get the anecdotal evidence, and it's the best when you see those kind of align. So for the Black Shawl, we increased the power of that a lot. We also increased the power of Skelly's Lucky Tooth, so it heals you for a lot more when a Death Defiance procs. And so hopefully we'll see the use rates of those go up a bit. In terms of use rates for something like the weapons or keepsakes in Hades, it's not a multiplayer game. We're not trying to create necessarily like a fully balanced experience. We're trying to create a compelling experience so that there are reasons in different cases to use all the stuff that's in the game, even if you have your own preferences.
Should put some extra punch into this shield.
So the Chaos Shields don't return to me, so Explosive Return might not be the one. I like Sudden Rush a lot. I'm going to do Sudden Rush. I'm a big Sudden Rush fan. I want Palms. No. I want some money. Oh, perfect. I could use the health. So for those of you who might be tuning in a little bit later, I'm Amir Rao, Studio Director for Supergiant Games. We are playing Hades, our roguelike dungeon crawler, in early access right now on the Epic Games Store. This is our 7th update, the Superstar update, which introduces a new character, introduces a ton of late game system, new unlockable weapon aspects, new resources, new cosmetics, a music player, a brand new song featuring Ashley Barrett, who has been in all of our previous games, and more underworld renovations. So more stuff art-wise and polish-wise to see late into the game. And the only way you'll see such a thing is if I actually get past the Furies here. So this is actually a good time to talk about these special resources. So here's a new resource. It's a diamond. And diamonds and chthonic keys are earned in a couple different ways. You can trade for them from the broker, but you mostly get them, or you can also buy them in a few rare cases. But you mostly get them by beating enemies, beating bosses on and using the Pact, using the combination of the bosses in the Pact. In this case, I haven't beat this heat level before with the shield, which means that each of the bosses has a bounty to give me, and I'm going to try and get them. In this case, let us do this. Okay, I got Electo, which is not bad, and I don't have extreme measures on, so I don't have the other harpies there.
expect me to respond?
You do know what happens when you make me feel.
Whoop, here we go. Got it.
She's getting mad.
So it's a lot easier when she doesn't have both her sisters helping her. This is my takeaway so far. Though not that much easier.
She's getting mad.
Oh!
So fast.
It's okay. I'm trying to build up a full Zeus call so I can get through these last phases with no issue. We'll see if I'm able to do that. Okay, I have a full greater call, so as soon as she pops out, there we go. Thing with managing your Zeus call is trying to stay close enough to the enemies. Got it. Yeah, so the bounties are tied to your completion of bosses with each weapon.
Very nice.
And you can earn more bounties by increasing the heat once you've cleared a whole heat level with that weapon.
It's beautiful.
Nice. In this case, I got a diamond, which are used
Let's
at
hear it,
the
Father.
broker, at the house contractor. You traded for large sums of darkness. Not going to purge anything. Oh, we also added a purging pool in these in between chambers, in these final chambers of each biome.
Up we go then. Nice.
So this now shows your progress. Like I've completed on this heat level, which is 1. I've now completed
Scenery at least.
the bounty for the Furies, and I'm moving on. All right, so you can already tell we've changed some things in Asphodel. That was a new boat that takes you from place to place. Literally every chamber of Asphodel has been updated with a new, stronger art vision that Joanne and Jen and Josh put together for this. This is largely the work, of course, of Joanne, our environment artist. And with a little bit more time, she was able to sort of fully realize this awesome, hellish lava bone cathedral vibe that you see here. It's been really exciting because it's given us an opportunity to go back through in early access and start to make sure that the experience there exceeds that you've been able to expect from us in our previous games, because we have a combination of player feedback, time, and just basically, time with our own game and actual development time to put together something that's of the quality you've come to expect from us. And I think Asphodel's evolution is a perfect example of that, and is sort of indicative of the types of changes we hope you see throughout the early access from here moving forward. Now that we've put all the biomes in the game, it means we can focus on just every single square inch of the game, making sure it's up to the quality and the par that we want it to be, and also making sure that we can surprise you, put in the types of surprises that, some of which are already there in our early access, but many, many more, to sort of make sure the game has all those little touches as well. Whoops. Whoops. Aimed the wrong way. But yeah, I mean, there's so many small touches now in Asphodel that I sort of discover new ones every time I run through it. I love these little lava ghosts, shades that are now long suffering in the in the overflown river. I love just the detailing on on the ground and the floor. It reminds me of some of just like my favorite moments in action RPGs. And it just feels overall darker and more occupied and lived in by the Shades, who are unfortunate enough to be stuck in this level of the underworld. Where am I going? Even Charon's shop in Asphodel got a revamp. I think I need some of this. So, reduce damage from foes is good. I think my specials deflect. So, now all my little chaos shields that pop out also deflect, which is pretty cool. Might as well take the health. Not playing super well. Oh, this has long been known by the community as the murder boat. We have our own name for it, but and we have a public-facing name which escapes me right now. But we put middle management Pact on, so this is, if anyone played Hades at launch, the murder boat got its name because it felt sort of like this, where it was a tiny, tiny room with not a lot of space and a lot of skeletons. And if you use the middle management Pact, it's like playing again at launch, where there's just tons of skeletons. You have to basically have a rhythm that you like for getting around the room, and just when you want the skeletons to stop, they usually keep spawning in. So that was the first wave. I'm going to try and develop a full call for this one, if I can. Whoop! Because I think I want the extra added duration that the full call gives me for that. Will undoubtedly be a very exciting third wave. This also got a revamp. It's now like the spine of something. Have to refer you to Greg on what it is the spine of. Doing better than I thought I was? Whoop. All right, here we go. Let's hit it. Wow. I used my call and I summoned a bunch of those stones that protect everyone. So it was like they perfectly countered me. They knew what I was going to do. Unfortunately, I don't know. That was just RNG, but part of me felt like it was personal. This is... Yeah, so... Anyway, for those of you who missed the challenge of December 2018 Murder Boat, you can now relive it with the Middle Management Pact.
Shall we continue our campaign against the dead?
We should. Do you do blade riffs? I always love blade riffs. We do blade riffs. Ooh, Thanatos again.
Quite a mess you've made here, Zagreus. Together we breathe.
Yeah.
So some of the other changes I'm excited about are to the bosses. So part of what being in early access affords us in terms of an opportunity is to sort of have a bunch of chances at getting our encounters to be just right, and I'm sure we'll be working on that all the way until we're 1.0. But we've made a lot of changes to the final boss encounters of every biome at the end of every single one of them. And so that means that everything from the Fury fight, Hydra fight, the Champions of Elysium, and the person you face at the very end, all have really different sort of polished, more clarified move sets. Some of them got a little bit stronger, some of them maybe a little bit weaker, and they all basically allow us to where did Thantos go? I was talking so I didn't see where he went. They allowed us to basically, I think, polish those moments a bit more and also add some devious tricks to each of the there he is.
I've got to go.
To each of the people. I'm not going to do a Trial of the Gods right now. Let's do it. Oh, this is one of my favorite chambers. This is like our little reprieve moment that you can sometimes roll if you're lucky in your... I want to make my aid better. There we go. It looks really good. Okay, so I'm about to face the Hydra with some new tricks, and if I'm able to do it, I will get myself a chthonic key, which will allow me to unlock more weapon aspects or increase the power of the ones I'm using. So it wouldn't be an update unless we change something about the Hydra. I think we've changed with something about the Hydra in every single update. Sometimes people ask for the changes, sometimes we just make them, because we're always ready to do something more. In this case, we've updated the Hydra art for their body and for the neck pieces. We've fixed several issues with them and also added a few more offensive options to them, which you will probably see in the next phase. Woo! So, I've lost a lot of Death Defiances, so this run is not necessarily going so well, but part of what I like about the new system is when you're trying to earn bounties, you earn them from defeating the game's underworld bosses. And so even if you don't get to the... Oh, that's one of the new ones. I wasn't ready for it. It means you can make partial progress along the way. And in this case, I will have gotten, if I defeat the Hydra, 2 of the bounties available on this level of heat with the shield. So you can always go to a different... a different heat level with a different weapon depending on your progress with them and try it that way. So there's a lot of ways to kind of keep forging ahead if you're kind of stuck on something. It's really different than the previous heat system, which was kind of just more of an optional challenge system. This adds a lot more structure to the Pact and basically creates a different structured endgame, which is something we thought Hades could, something we've been thinking about for Hades for a long time, something we knew was always going to be there, and now we actually have it in there, which is very exciting. So Zeus Aid, even with the nerf, still good to call upon the power of Zeus, I would say. Part of it is that I put palms on it. Those call abilities basically benefit a lot from the palms that you can get. Woo! Got him. Oh, I always forget about that new flurry. Means you have to be a little bit more careful about dodging it on reaction instead of kind of hoping that it does the slow one where you can just get rid of all the different projectiles, which is what it used to be before. So yeah, always got to change the Hydra. I may not make it to the final phase, but I want to because I want to get a key. Also took a lot of like community feedback changes in. To this one, we had, over 675 entries in our Discord providing community feedback. And sometimes, people ask for really small things, quality of life things, and sometimes really big things. And sometimes people put brand new ideas or provide feedback on the game. So if you're interested in like joining our early access and you're interested in helping shape what Hades is and helping improve the quality of it, please join our Discord and give us feedback. One of the things I say that because one of the things that's come up a lot is actually the behavior in the final biome, the Temple of Styx, of how the poison there works. We've done a lot to make that be significantly more clear and more differentiated from what the final boss's sort of debuff looks like. We also made it so Death Defiance clears your Styx poison, which is something that was requested as well. And there's a bunch of other small and large kind of changes like that. Got him. Elysium, actually, the biome after this, got a lot of changes as well, and I'm going to talk about them because I'm probably going to die very early when I get there. But first, a cathodic key. Woo! Yeah, the weapons are excited for the keys, because it unlocks more aspects.
That victory of yours shall be short-lived.
Go ahead and purge, actually, the shatter shot. I'll stick with the Keepsake. Oops, I should have bought a Death Defiance. It's okay. I'm okay to die among the champions of Elysium. So there we go. It's helpfully telling me, hey, you've cleared this. You've got the key with the shield on Heat 1. Oh, one of the things we added here was this. Basically, we have these new overlooks in Elysium. So you can stare out and see what we have in store for you in this biome. One of the key features of this update I did not run into in that run, which is the brand new character that we have. So that's something you're just going to have to experience yourself. So I was talking about Elysium earlier. Elysium did get some changes. Those of you who were really angry about your experience with soul catchers, the good news is they're a little bit less plentiful when they're chosen in encounters. They move around a bit more. They can be knocked back. So there's a lot of changes for them. We've also one of the champions, Asterius, we've made some changes and clarifications to how he moves around and his attacks. Both the champions have less health, a little bit less health. So we also made this change, which no one asked for, but we wanted. Or maybe some people did. Some people did ask for it. This is there are now flame wheels. Now when they're chosen for an encounter, whoa! Cool, I just displaced the stream. Coming back. The flame wheels now when they're chosen for an encounter kind of can sort of spawn a little bit more densely, so more of them come out at once, which is devious and amazing when it happens. Oh, we haven't seen Hermes. Oh, we got Hermes or a hammer. I kind of want Hermes. Let's talk to Hermes. I feel like it's been a bit since I've seen my friend Hermes. I sold my shatter shot because I was hoping to get a longer range cast, and it has not happened yet.
Look who.
Oh, I forgot to mention something on the shield, which is exciting too, which is we updated the look and very, very slightly updated the timing to, I mean, it's like 1 frame, so it's probably not super noticeable unless you're a big shield fanatic, but the dash attack now has a different look and a wider radius, so you can tell when you do it, and you can also build around the dash attack a little bit if you want to try the shield, which works with certain hammer upgrades actually, like the dashing wallop. Woo! So because this is one of those bigger updates for us where we've done just a ton of stuff, I think it's the most time we've taken on an update so far. We expect to be making lots of changes, big and small, over the course of the next several days.
Having you coach, wonderful guy. Don't get to spend a lot of time together though. You know how that is. Well, see ya.
Oh, fully automatic cast. Faster special, fully automatic cast.
Who felt that?
Let's go. Oh, speaking of Elysium, we made Elysium slightly longer. So in the previous update, we made Elysium a few chambers shorter, and we decided to bring back a little bit of that length. This is an interesting sort of challenge in Hades from a design perspective, is how long should each of these be. The reason it's challenging is because while making a biome longer can make it more challenging, it also potentially gives players the opportunity to find more powerful boons, and so we always have to be careful with the balance between those things. After experiencing the game ourselves even more and playing with the update more and monitoring feedback on the update more, we decided let's bring back a little bit of the length of Elysium, so it's made a little bit longer. I am almost certainly going to perish very soon, which is all good. I feel like my time has come. I want to get back anyway and use my chthonic key on something, if I can.
Simple.
I'm here again to lend to you my power, noble cousin. Though your own strength of will is how you'll finally break free of that cruel place.
The shield of light.
Should I go? I have 4 health. I should just go die to whatever's in here. Okay, well, so we made it so these enemies move a bit, and they can be knocked back. But, oh no! Okay, this is a good way to die. So, I'm using the middle management thing, which, of course, makes it so these sort of champion encounters are harder. So now there are 2 of them, which is, I'm sure, was a surprise to me, and will be an interesting surprise to you too if you're playing with Heat, trying to farm your chthonic keys and diamonds. I am definitely going to die, but at least I died doing what I love, trying to get keys and diamonds. There it is. There it is. All right. I'm going to close out with one more trip to the contractor and one more trip to the courtyard. Call it a day.
What's new, contractor?
Oh, cool. I'm going to do it. So I have a diamond now, which can be used on some of the more really crazy upgrades to the house. So let's try this.
Approved. This ought to help Orpheus keep his boundless libraries of music in order. Just have to fill it in.
Oh my.
Our court musician need not be so indulged.
I'm cheering for you all the way.
New piece there.
Nice. Try and listen to some No Escape.
This makes me think of her.
Oh.
I'm attempting to work here.
Give me the best deal you've got.
I'm going to go ahead and buy some darkness. Why not? That's a really good trade. Oh, but then I won't have diamonds for later. Whatever.
You trying to fleece me here?
Diamonds trade really well for darkness. So, if you're looking for a leg up there, that's something you can do. Woo! I have a lot of darkness to spend on this save. So, I got to change the music. I got a new Chthonic key, so I can try and unlock one more aspect, so I might as well just do one more. Maybe something on the blade, because I can show one last thing, which is probably one of my favorite things in the update.
Let me see you now for what you truly are.
Go ahead and get this Nemesis aspect.
Stygius, awaken.
Check it out. New blade. Super exciting. But the best thing is this. We updated the secondary, and the look and feel of it is really different. The timing and the vibe and how you mix it into your attacks is really, really different. So I just unlocked an aspect which is called the Nemesis aspect, and it allows me, it sort of is like the old, like an older hammer upgrade, but it allows me basically to Nova, which gives me a crit chance on my main attack, so I can weave in my attacks and try and get crits that way, and as long as I can get the Nova in. But because it has a different timing and a different charge time, it's kind of got like a whole different thing to master here, which is felt really interesting to me, and one of the changes that we have. And this new animation is by our animator Tin. Did a great job, the look and feel. So anyway, that's me playing Hades. I just ran through the Superstar update. I just died twice because of the brand new Pact. I unlocked a new aspect for the sword. For the blade of Stygius. I got to see brand new chamber art, saw brand new resources, unlocked a music stand, which has a ton of unlockables inside of it too. So, all in all, I'm experiencing some of the replayability that we hope that you will all enjoy when you get your chance to play the Superstar update. The sort of long-term hope with this is that this type of replayability really rewards players who get super invested in Hades, and we know there are a lot of you out there already. We're really excited to hear your feedback on this update, and really excited to see what you think about it. Excited to make changes that are informed by it. And then excited to move on to our next one. Our next update is got to focus on filling out the rest of the resources we have planned for the game, and we're going to take another look at the gifting system. So, thank you so much for spending time with me today, and checking out some of these new things. We got to see some cool stuff, I think, and I'm about to just myself run back to the Discord and see what people have to say about this new update. I'm going to leave you with the voice of our new character who we did not get to meet, whose singing voice is done by Ashley Barrett. We're really, really excited that she's in Hades now, and people have been asking, when is Ashley coming? When is Ashley going to be here? Well, Ashley is here. For those of you who might have missed it, over the last couple months as a studio, we also celebrated our 10-year anniversary, which is a really big deal for us. We did that at PAX with a full concert, which you can watch on this very YouTube channel. So please like and subscribe for more content like that. We'll also be releasing the new music track for this that was introduced in this game, in this update. Shortly. So that'll be available too on our YouTube channel. Yeah. Otherwise, if you're interested in Hades, Come check it out. It's on the Epic Games Store now. It'll be coming to Steam Early Access on December 10th, and it will be coming in 1.0 and more platforms in the second half of next year. This has been the Superstar Update, streamed live from our studio in San Francisco, California. Thanks so much for joining us.